Hello students, very good evening to all of you. Good evening, good evening, good evening students. So all set for your direct tax paper for CA final. Now students, tomorrow is your paper for the CA final examination. Hopefully you all have done your requisite effort. Couple of very quick points which I have a particular conversation with many of the students. The fact that you people had good amount of holiday earlier, many of the students are still in a position, still struggling primarily to cover up their final particular revision. At the same particular point of time, some students are also of the thought that what they have done 3 days back, they should be revising it again one more time. Otherwise, they think that they have forgotten it. Nothing will happen, students. Don't worry about that. So just take away this particular thought process that those things that you have done 3 days back or 4 days back, you would have forgotten it. Nothing would have happened. It's just a matter of the examination. Everything will get sorted out. Students, I'm telling you, you people have done a lot of effort and you have prepared it. In our times, we never had any off. The examination was back to back. The syllabus was more or less the same. So at the end of the day, in that 12 hours time also, anyone primarily who has to prepare for direct tax and they have to revise it for the last day of the examination, entire syllabus at one go, they anyway will do it. Important points that should be borne at this particular point of time, students, based on my experience, I'm telling you. Try to finish it off. First is that, students, finish it off the topic primarily which you are having more comfort primarily at this stage. Try to directly jump into the practicals, like for example, trust taxation. And if you would have done some practicals of it, something of that sort, like exit tax, or say any question on the total income question, directly jump into the practicals, because through practicals you will relate the theory also. That is the ideal approach. If, say for example, topic like PGBP is pending in this context, say for example, I'm just talking about it, only focus on the big sections rather than focusing on primarily the theory and all. Like, I just got to know some students are still reading a provision on depreciation, not supposed to be done. And don't think that you're going to forget it. And the way you're going to revise it right now is not the way you're going to face it in the examination. So just take it from your mind that you have to do a conventional revision. Target the small topic, target the topic which is of high value. Like for example, if I have to say surrogate taxes, the AIF, the REIT, those are the areas which are being there. Some students have got assessment pending. So instead of doing from ROI, target 147, or maybe the case studies, directly target the case studies on 147 rather than doing this entire normal particular revision. Say in that case, appeals is pending in this regard. So for appeals, provision like when, what about the case of the stay order, when the stay would be granted, those are the situation. Under what circumstances the additional evidence can be filed, what is the maximum period of stay, what about the rectification, whether the order can be rectified by the CIT appeal or by the ITAT. So specific particular pointers is what you need to focus on rather than going through conventionally. Okay, return is filed, then memorandum of cross objection, then 60 days, all that thing is as such not required primarily at this particular point of time. Revision 263, doctrine of partial merger, 264, complete merger. Into CIT appeals, in CIT appeals, if you can recall, whether the CIT appeal can remand the case back to the assessing officer, and the answer is no. The power to remand back is not available. Why? Because the power of CIT appeal is coterminous with that of the AO. That exactly is the how you are supposed to, students, target on the important points that you may have taken a note of at that stage. Just deal with this way. Penalties, when you have to talk about it, students, obviously penalty, I will suggest that you can just try to finish it off early, because of the fact that the various MCQs and all would have been put across. Try to divide the penalty topic, students, in such a way that one is on the concealment part. The penalty topic, students, majorly is of two types. Majorly, yeah, students, majorly I'm talking about it. Focus on this one. One set of penalty, students, try to focus on 270A. The second penalty would be your those 270, one is 270A of underreporting. Then there is this penalty of 271 double AD, which is about that, remember that ITC or fabrication in the books of accounts, which they do it. So in that case, the falsification of the books, so that is 271 double AD, 100% is a penalty amount, which is equivalent to the number. Then thereafter you have got the penalty provision of 271 double AE. That is one of the penalties. So those are one of the category of penalty, the way we have taught you through in terms of the undisclosed income. One category 271 in this case double AD. So that is one category of penalty on the underreporting undisclosed income. The second category of penalty, students, is about the cash penalty, which is 269 SS, 269T, 269 ST default, which results into 271D, 271E, 271DA. That is a cash penalty, that is it. Then there are some miscellaneous penalty like tax audit, which are being there. If not happen, then what will be the amount of penalty? Do only one major penalty is about that AIR, 271FA, the statement of financial transaction. If not filed, then in that particular case, what would be the amount of penalty? That is how it would be considered. So this is one thing which is there. Some students has got TDS and TCS pending. Ideally, then target that amendment of TCS first, for which you can directly refer that MCQ question which I have shared with various groups also, which I have shared across. So you can just target those MCQ questions which are being there primarily on that amendment particular part, and then thereafter take the reverse approach. See, one case law is going to come, that is the Singapore Airlines, Royal British Airways, Singapore Airlines, that is going to be there. 5 case law, students, I am marking for all of you right now, which is very important, which you have to take into account. 5 case law, students, has to be done, which would be most important, and I expect this 5, in that 5 case law, at least couple of them should be there. Let's see, New Noble Education Society, that is one. I have already given the case law video, or I have already furnished the case law video. Do from that rather than doing from the PDF file. That case law video will help you out across it. I will give you the timestamp in your channels, in your groups. I will give you the timestamp, and accordingly you can just refer from that if you want. So this is one is that charitable trust, that New Noble Educational Society. The second particular part, students, in this context is that particular case of Reliance Energy, students. Second is the Reliance Energy, that profit link deduction. On that profit link deduction, Reliance Energy. The third case law, students, is Pioneer Overseas Corporation, which is on that waiver of interest of 220. That is case law number 3. Fourth case law is again Reliance Telecom Limited. That is for tribunal recalling its order. Is it recalling the order and rehearing the case on its merit? Is it equal to rectification apparent from mistake? Answer is no. So that is the fourth one. And then thereafter, students, in this context, then thereafter, I am talking about the case law which will come as a case study. I have already given the case law file. Many of you would have already referred it. That is a 50 minutes video on that entire case law for November 23 and May 24 attempt together. And the last one, students, is the last one case law is about this one, the CIT versus Air India. Treaty rate, can it override the treaty DTAA? Does it override 206AA when the treaty is more beneficial? When the treaty is more beneficial, to that the answer is yes. If you can add one more list, I think the last case law, Secunderabad Club. So I think 7 case law I am just adding for you. Secunderabad Club versus CIT. So these 7 case laws are there, students, primarily, that you need to look upon to it, and that should be all. So that is on the case law front, which I have given it to you. Primarily 7 case law should be there, students, for sure. You will be very lucky to have those case laws in your examination tomorrow in this context. So this is precisely the strategy adopted. Be smart enough to wrap up in this particular way, and that is how you are going to help it out across it. Students, couple of important points now for your examination. Quickly I am telling you, students, tomorrow when you write for the examination, first, that 15 minutes time that you will get it, first select what? Select the first 3 questions which you know the very best. In the descriptive part, don't do the MCQ first. MCQ is suicidal initially. The descriptive part, students, is the most important one. So do the descriptive parts in the first 15 minutes of the time. Select the first 3, any 3 questions. Questions means like full questions, which you know the best. When I say full question, chances are very high that in some of the questions you may know all the 3. In some question you may know out of 3 only 2, but that 2 you know the best. That is also a good combination. So that is how you should do it. So 2 or 3 good questions, students, that you know, you start with that. Don't start with the MCQ part. MCQ is unknown at this stage. So please don't start with the MCQ, start with the descriptive part. In this case, let that first 30 and 45 minutes go by and let's settle down with this. Once you've settled down with that, and if in that first 15 minutes, if you would have gone through question number 1, and if question number 1 appears to be relatively easy, so my suggestion to all of you would be to do first question number 1 and then to go for the MCQ. Primarily because question number 1, the adjustment you have to write the notes. So if it appears simple, please ensure that do question number 1 and then jump into the MCQ. So 2 or 3 good descriptive question, then question number 1, total income. If at all it is a simple one. Now how do you know it is a simple one? Please don't read through. I tell you one thing, for total income question, when you have got that first 15 minutes time, initial first 15 minutes time, you read the first 2 lines, read the last line. So you know what type of question income is there. Either it is a normal provision, or it is a MAT, or it is an alternate tax regime. Once you have got a framework, okay, this is the type of question, you can just glance through the adjustment and you just yourself will come to know if the adjustments are manageable or not. And if it is, please take that at the very outset. Initially itself you should take it up. When I say initially means after the 2 or 3 descriptive question which you know the very best, then you take up the total income question. Don't start with total income question at the start of it. Start with that question 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whichever are the 2, 3 best question that you are aware of it. Start with that, finish it off, then move to question number 1 if you have concluded it is manageable. Then the time is for the MCQ, because MCQ is unknown. You don't know whether it would turn out to be correct, and more importantly, it might lead to lot of stretch of your time commitment that is required. So these are the very quick points, students, I have told you. Try to finish it off, students, through the practicals, through the knowns, through something that you are knowing it. Those which are unknown, try to push it primarily as late as possible. Something or the other you will come to know, students. Don't worry much on that particular part. Okay, I'll just give you my number, 9867 18004, 9867 18004. If you want any guidance on this, you can just WhatsApp me. I'll be available to help you out. I'm just putting a tax audit video of 30 minutes now of the important clauses and how you're supposed to commit yourself. Tax audit, one question is expected, I suppose it should be there. So in that context, but how the question will be there, quick 30 minutes video I'm just putting across with all of you in the group. See you then, students. All the best. I'll be in touch with you through my communication in the channels and in your groups. Thank you. Bye-bye.